Hello again and welcome back to my channel. My name is G. This is G's World, and today I'm going to be continuing my my journey into Warhammer 40K. Today I'm going to be doing a suggestion video. Someone commented about doing a video, watching a video by the name of @AlphaShocker7458. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the suggestion. I'm gonna check it out in this video. And I found it. I'm hoping this is the right one because he didn't give me a specific title, but I did look up Mandalore Gaming's review of Fire Warrior, and this is what popped up. Here we go. So you can see. There's a few others. This one is 6 years old, which doesn't matter. I don't even remember when I played this game. And somebody actually made one 2 years ago, 3. That's another one. Oh, that's here. People really don't like the towel. I don't know why. But yeah, that was the race that I was first introduced to, from the Warhammer mythology and stuff. So yeah, without further ado, man, let's dive right into this suggestion, because this is really gonna bring back a lot of memories. And for the record, I went and dug up my original copy. I still have it. I was checking it out. What was it, yesterday or the day before? It's been busy for the past couple of days. I am not sure how I'm going to capture the gameplay though, because it's a PS2. I don't have the backward compatible PS3. So what I was thinking of was using I have Retrobat. I have a little thumb drive. I'll probably just download the game there, and it should run pretty good. I already have a few other PS2 games on there, so I'll probably just do it through there. Just be a lot easier instead of having to buy a bunch of equipment and different cables and stuff like that. But yeah, without further ado, man, let's just jump right into this, man. This is gonna be fun.
Weakness detected in arms.
Turn that on. Mandalore Gaming.
The Warhammer 40,000 franchise has been around over 30 years, and the games have never been far behind. With games like Space Crusade and Chaos Gate, they were doing well. The trend of making bank and good reviews in their strategy games kept going until fairly recently. That's when things got a little different. So the brand had done well with tactical and strategy games. However, despite being a perfect setting for it, they never made an FPS game. Unless you count Space Hulk Vengeance of the Blood Angels, and I don't. That's still more of a tactical game. It wouldn't be until 2003 that a true 40K first-person shooter was made. It would also be the only 40K FPS game for roughly the next 15 years.
In fact, I remember where I got this. I got it at GameStop. It was called Funkolando at the time. That's how long ago it was, I think. I'm not sure. I think I got it right before or right after. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that because I was just thinking about, when the hell did I buy the game? But it was definitely the GameStop place, you know, or Funkoland if you want to go back that far. And man, this is going to bring back a lot of memories. Let's keep going.
This was Fire Warrior. And right from the get-go, there's a lot
of games too. That's the other thing.
PlayStation 2 outlets were very positive on the game.
I'm interested in buying a few more.
It was to the point I thought it was only on PS2, but no, it got a release on PC as well. See, it's right there. The only reason I found out was because the guy emailed me about it. After a quick search, it turns out the PC version's reviews were abysmal compared to the PS2. As far as I know, this isn't sold digitally
PCs weren't that powerful back then.
On top of all,
was there a date right there? Give me a general. Damn, 2003 release date. Hey Google, when did GameStop come into existence?
On the website Facebook.com, they say, the year was 1984, and a rad company called GameStop came to life.
Ah.
We're 40.
Okay. So it was at GameStop. Just wanted to make sure. I was like, man, my memory's playing tricks on me. So this thing was released, PC Okay, so they were released on both. One did good, the other one just bombed. Which makes sense because PCs weren't that powerful back then. You know, I remember them just being just compared to what they are now. Whew. Yeah, let's keep going.
Abysmal compared to the PS2. As far as I know, this isn't sold digitally either. On top of all of that, getting the game to start on a modern system is a challenge, and if you do, here's your in-game options. Audio levels. That's it. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to make this game playable.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's still
weapon.
a decision you might regret, but I can't stop you.
I don't even remember how it
First of all,
sounds,
the game has a launcher. Unfortunately, it hasn't been seen by modern human beings. This is because it appears to have issues with DirectX versions past date, which in computer years is basically going back to the fall of Rome. You could go back to that, or you can be a genius and just launch the exe from the CD or your image. You don't even need compatibility mode, so easy, right? Well, almost. Remember, the game has no in-game settings menu. It typically runs at a lower resolution, and I can't show you it. Whenever I try to put a clip of it in, it crashes a video editor, so this is the fixed version. Now, I haven't seen the launcher, but I've heard some nasty rumors about it. The good ones at least say that you could have changed your settings in it, so that means it must make a config file. After digging around, I found out how to make one in Notepad. These values are self-explanatory for the most part. Then I just save it next to the exe and it's good to go. At least that's what I thought.
The standard carbine of the tower fires plasma pulse burst ammunition identical to that of the standard rifle.
I can't deal with this crackling. Maybe you were around back in the day when sound cards were really being pushed, and this is kind of a part of that.
Yeah.
At first, I thought I could force it to use EAX, but that didn't help. Firewar uses some kind of software effects, but maybe they didn't install right. Either way, I've got to get rid of them. So now the game has lost all the echo effects, but the audio is crisp and clear.
The lightweight carbine is a rapid fire weapon and also mounts a photon grenade before they were halted in the Dalith system and a truce declared.
Much better. So Fire Warrior is running.
I didn't play
That's
the
a good
game, I
start.
just popped
I
in
loaded
to
the
make sure that it
tutorial,
worked.
which is surprisingly somber. It's nearly dead
And I was
silent.
just trying to figure out how to get the game capture to work. Because I have a small game capture card, but it only
Okay,
does
let's
video.
hit the range.
So I'm shopping around to get one that will pick up everything. Oh, that's how it sounds. Wait.
Oh my.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my god, this weapon spread.
Yeah. Yeah, you have
The
to zoom
aiming
in.
also feels a bit like being in a bubble of jelly. This is especially weird because these are Tau weapons, which means I need to talk about Warhammer lore a bit. If you played with toys and action figures, you may have known about, or played with, that kid. You never wanted to play with that kid. Nobody did. That kid always had to be the best, and he'd make up rules to do so. My Iron Man is coming to fight you. Nuh-uh, because my John Cena has an Iron Man force field. This child grew up to work at Games Workshop. An entire school bus of these kids did, and they made their own factions for the setting. These kids were kept in check by an entity that I'm going to call the Supreme Kid. The Supreme Kid will somewhat balance the other factions, but make sure that his favoritist is the most important. He will smite down or devour the creations of lesser kids who challenge him. In the end, only he will remain. That should sum up why the setting is so ridiculous. I figure that most people watching this know at bare minimum that 40K is grimdark and sci-fi. Or maybe space fantasy would be a better description. If you know nothing about the setting, just picture
both,
this.
I guess,
Hulk Hogan is
from
in a
what I'm learning.
cathedral, and he's fighting the devil. Hogan is wearing about 50 trucks worth of metal. Also, the cathedral is the size of Rhode Island. And in space. Hulk Hogan is the Imperium of Man. They're the humans in this setting, and probably the most popular faction for that reason. At this time, the setting didn't really have good guys, just lesser shades of evil. The Imperium is a bunch of fascist fanatics, but if you're a human, they're your best chance for being alive for a while. When the Tau released in 2001, they were the good faction. Non-Tau players tended to dislike them for this, among other reasons. Their main trait was having very accurate, long-range weapons. And you know what? These are not those weapons. I don't know how to describe it other than the gun is drunk. I had to go back to the config and enable the auto-aim that I had turned off. Auto-aim being on is the default setting. The cone of fire narrows a bit and the weapon tracks your target, and it's still pretty atrocious. This is the moment that I started to realize what I was in for, but I wasn't really ready. This is one of those games you can't play on hard until you beat it on normal, so that's what I'm stuck with. Let's check it out. Fire Warrior starts off with a cutscene of something happening. I'm not really sure what, but before you can find out, the Space Marines blow it apart.
Space Marines!
Uh-oh.
They kidnap somebody, and the game begins.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play this game again. I'm gonna stream it on Twitch.
I can't hear
I don't
what
know
he's
when.
saying.
I'm still up in the
It's
air.
like the voice actor is
Follow
actually
me for
calling
more
from China.
updates.
No way to
I
change
just did my
this.
first stream just a few days ago. I was playing World of Warships. So I'm still figuring it out.
Is that him talking? Whoa, what?
Yeah, him.
On the green light.
As far as games made after 2000 go, I think
remember
Fire Warrior might have one of the
you come off the
strangest
ships and
soundscapes
start-
of all. I've played games that use stock sounds, but never just a phone dial. The thing is, at least the phone dial sound is clear. A lot of levels will just have these alarms blaring half the time.
Yeah, old school. I grew up on that stuff.
Please, just stop them. When the game gets quiet, that's when you realize why it was so loud. To hide all the sounds.
Oh yeah. It's like any
say?
game, you just gotta get used to it. Like the
To give you an
feel of the
idea
game.
of how bad the
I
weapon
remember
sounds
how it
are,
was like-
one of the most powerful sounding weapons in the game uses a stock machine gun sound. Of course, like almost every other weapon in the game, the spread on it is horrible.
Oh yeah. It takes a while to get used
At
to.
several points I couldn't
Like
tell what was
just any
happening
game.
because the sounds
But
were looping
I
over
don't know.
each
Me
other.
personally, I remember just whooping ass till closer to the end when it really got hard.
Failing? Does this sound like being an event or opening a bag of chips?
Ah, come on, man.
I understand working on a budget, but when you're taking field recordings of people opening snacks in a movie theater, it's not working out.
Man, this is PS2, dude.
Okay,
What
the
did
sounds
you
are
expect?
abysmal. I can accept that. But why does every Imperial Guardsman say that it's quiet?
What's this guy's name? Mandalore Gaming, man. How old are you? I'm 51. I came from a time where this was just normal. Oh yeah, I remember that.
I am going to lose my goddamn mind.
I remember that guy. That fucking chainsaw.
I'm only 15 minutes into the game and I can't remember what's happening. Wait, I beat it? 14 minutes? That felt like 14 weeks. To summarize it up, I'm just not very happy with the sound. Let's move on.
Yeah, you're
the game
on
is about as
PC though,
standard
man.
as it
It's
gets
better
for
on the
first-person
PS2.
shooters. You go through multiple
You know,
linear
the
levels,
original
find new weapons,
way to
and
play
kill
it.
enemies. What
I'm
I find
definitely gonna try to
interesting is that
capture
it's a
it.
kind of
Well, actually, you know
transitional
what?
shooter.
I was just thinking, I should compare both. Probably do that after I'm done with this video. Just pop it in and just look and hear it and compare it to the Retrobat. If it's about the same, at least for me, then I'll do Retrobat and Twitch it from there. Stream it, Twitch it, same thing. But yeah, I gotta look into that.
Easy example. If you want to open the magenta door, you need to find the magenta key.
Oh, yeah, I
Colored keys
remember
were a
that.
staple of 90s FPS games because, well, they make sense. You don't need a special narrative to understand what's happening. You see the blue door, you need the blue key. Easy. This practice largely went extinct in the early 2000s. With the big push for story in games, obstacles would have to be narrative related. Having a color-coded door and key was now seen as being too arcadey. Having the red door was now just seen as lazy. Okay, so Fire Warrior is more of a 90s game. After all, levels have a stats counter. From time to time you'll complete an additional task, and I'm not sure what they are because the game never really tells you. That checks out. There are also plenty of health packs, but wait a minute, something is still happening to my health. Man, it's just on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it is.
Oh yeah, it does
So I've had to
recharge.
think about it a little bit, and it's a way worse Halo. I know all the advertisements that would kill Halo, but it's just a worse version of that game. You have to wonder how you can take a formula that was proven to work on a console like Halo and mess it up somehow. Then I looked at the games they were making before and during this, and their train simulators and iToy games, and it's like, oh, this makes sense now. To give the game some credit, it has a variety of 40K weapons. There are a lot of standard weapons you'd expect, like a sniper rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun, but there are some weapons that are a little more unique. Chargeable plasma guns, a plasma pistol, a melta-gun, the list goes on. There's about a dozen weapons to choose from. My favorite
Yeah, I
ended up being the
remember.
bolter because, well, they got it right.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
You also carry a sword, but it might as well be a spoon. It's useless.
I don't remember. I honestly don't know.
It has close to no reach and it barely does any damage. I can't even imagine how bad this is on hard. I have three main issues with the weapons. The first is that several of them are redundant. The stub rifle is a good medium-range weapon with a muzzle flash that looks like a solar flare, but the last gun does basically the same thing. The bolter is fun to use, but then there's a chaos bolter which fires a little bit faster and maybe does less damage. I can't tell because, you know, it's a bolter. If you don't know the lore, it fires 75 caliber rocket-propelled explosive bricks that were blessed in a church. The Chaos Bolter does the same thing except, I don't know, the rounds are blessed at a Marilyn Manson concert. My second issue is that you can only hold 2 guns. Except in rare occasions, you're only going to find ammo for your weapons on dead enemies. So putting down a rifle in exchange for a pistol with only 6 shots doesn't make any sense. Doing that discourages a player from experimenting, but it gets even worse than that. One of the weapons you're holding has to be a Tau weapon, and they're terrible. So even if you find 2 weapons you really like, you have to choose one because one of them will have to be a Tau weapon. To make matters worse, you don't get the second weapon, the carbine, until the midpoint of the game. That means you're only getting to choose one weapon for most of the game. But there is the Tau cannon. Also, look out for death animations. It's like they all want to win an Emmy. So holding off for that seems good, except this scenario doesn't happen a lot. By this point in the game, you're going to be fighting some of the spongiest enemies around. Having this would have been great in some of the earlier levels when there were swarms of guardsmen. Here, it's just wasted. You do get a rail rifle in the last levels of the game, and this is when Tau weapons are good. The rail rifle can zap a bad man right into the Shadow Realm.
Man, I don't remember some of this stuff. I have to play it again.
Yeah, me too.
The stage
is not
is
a
the
prize
little...
worth waiting for, and I'll come back to why.
Oh, I remember that one.
Earlier, the biggest problem is the spread
Man, that
and
guy
aiming
fucking
system.
killed me a bunch.
It doesn't matter if auto aim is off or on, these things go all over the place. Even when it's on, sometimes it won't lock on right. It also has a tendency to lock on to nothing before going to the right target. You might be thinking it looks so obnoxious, you should just turn it off, and I would, but this is the better option, even if that result makes the game play like a buggy rail shooter. This is with it on, and the rounds are still going way outside the reticle. Remember, this is the home-end cheat mode. If all the enemies were at mid-range, or I could always carry a long-range weapon, then I could turn it off. It's those long-range fights that make it a complete pain, because not everyone's running up to you with a chainsaw. Wait.
Yeah, those guys are
what's wrong
fucking
with his
crazy.
Head?
Looking around and shit.
Well, I'm sure it's in the codex somewhere, but we don't have time for that. The weapons being buggy does fit the theme of the game, which is being buggy. From time to time, enemies will dream of a world of peace, and then they stop fighting. This wasn't a one-time ordeal, this would happen multiple times with multiple enemies. The enemies have an even higher tendency of going bonkers if you have allies around. Early in the game, there's a boss fight with a Valkyrie aircraft. Weapons didn't seem to affect it much. I knew you had to disable the intakes on it, but sometimes I got both of them and it would still stay up there. I didn't know how to kill it. Then, a breakthrough came.
I think you had to hit something, like specific.
It killed itself. I spent longer than I'd like to admit looking at this clip trying to figure out what happened. I can't recall a boss in a game that just committed suicide, but now I think I have it figured out. When the pilot gets angry enough, he says a prayer and writes something down in a manuscript. He then hands it to the tech priest who lives behind the launchers for warmth. This is when the grateful tech priest fires the missiles, as you can see here. After carefully studying the schematics, I realized something. You can see out of the cockpit, but not from behind the launchers. So, to put it in short, he fired point blank into this pipe and blew himself up. That's one mystery solved. Next time I'll tackle the missing doors. All these problems explain the bad PC reviews. If you've seen videos I've made before, you know that I usually start with the visuals and maybe a bit of story background and then move on to the rest, but I've been assaulted by issues non-stop from the beginning. Let's be honest, even if the story's incredible, that's not exactly Game of the Year material. So this could just be a horrible, horrible port of a PS2 classic. So after making calls and exchanging some notes, I got someone to help me. So to see if this is just the PC version, I have internet celebrity 8-Bit Brody to talk about the PS2 version. Is it as good as they say?
You know, I've been a fan of the Warhammer universe for a while now, and I have fond memories of Fire Warrior. I never liked it as much as Halo, but I remember it being an enjoyable enough experience.
Yeah,
Revisiting this game, however, has proven my memory to be an unreliable source, and I feel that I can no longer trust my former self with any future decisions in my life.
This shit's off
Every
already.
glitch and sound issue found on the Windows version of this game can also be experienced on Sony's home console. There was even an additional auditory hiccup during the tutorial. The voiceover present in this section stalls when naming a button prompt.
Press the stop button.
It's as though it's pausing to allow for different inputs to be stated for different versions of the game, made all the more strange by the absence of this voiceover from the PC release. The night vision is somehow worse, and I even discovered how to make my character fly using a ladder, in some sort of Douglas Adamsian fashion, by him seeming to simply forget how to fall. The most directly discernible divergence between the two games, however, are the controls. Let me give you a quick rundown. The joysticks are standard shooter affair. R1 and R2 are primary and alternate fire respectively. Circle is reload, pressing square swaps weapons, and X is your use command. Triangle, though, gets a special scenario mapped to him. He lobs grenades. Why wouldn't they make that one of the L buttons, you ask? Well, let me tell you, L1 is how you jump, and L2 is reserved for crouch, because of course it couldn't be on L3, that snaps your view into a level position, as was requested by every post-Halo console first-person shooter fan. Luckily, they let you change it in the options menu to this. So, you know, that's good. Going back and playing this, it's very hard to believe that a game was released with controls this poorly optimized 2 whole years after the first Halo hit store shelves, and only 1 short year before this very console had its own dedicated FPS in Killzone. Other games of the same era were able to implement far more ergonomic and sensible control schemes, so I have a hard time excusing the faults of Fire Warrior with age. It honestly feels like the developers, not dissimilar to my absent father stumbling into our basement and discovering my uncle teaching me all the wrong ways to use a garden hose, just didn't care. If you care, however, feel free to come to my channel and subscribe.
Rhodey.
I also have a Patreon where you can donate money to help feed me.
Rhodey,
I'm very poor.
Alright, we got it. Alright, so it's just as bad on PS2. I'm not sure if that makes me feel better or worse. I should talk about something positive. The technical graphics are
It's
average to subpar for the time,
honestly.
and the levels did remind me of Red Faction a lot, but if
I
you're into the
remember
Warhammer
enjoying
setting,
it.
there's some pretty neat stuff to see. Despite all the problems it had,
I'm gonna
the
go
art
in
team
I'm
really
gonna
did
go
their
in
homework.
playing
There's
it
a level
again
that
with that
takes place in
mentality.
an Imperial ship, and you can really feel the size of it. Visit the study, the recovery ward, the kitchens, this guy. It has the most overdramatic Windows Vista handbook and out of order sign you'll ever see. If you wanted an FPS game where you could walk around the Warhammer 40K world, this was your only option for a long time. I gotta give him credit, they did a great job at it. I could see people having fond memories of this game. They might not remember how bad it got, but some of these images alone could stick with you. It's a downright shame that the level design itself is so bland. There were so many moments I thought it would get better. During a bunker level, I found a chair that had a bolter sitting on it. I knew what that meant. It was a cool way of teasing that Toyotas Maximus was around the corner ready to fight me. It was a good use of the environment telling a player about an obstacle coming up. That's a lot better than I can say for the rest of the game. They'll use the same lines over and over again.
Destroy this. You must obtain the keys. Find the button. This is the place. You must destroy this.
For everything it does right, it does 5 things wrong. It reeks of something that was either on a tight budget, a short time frame, or both. There's lots of clues that QA and testing
probably
was
both.
minimal. There are bizarre inclusions that just feel unfinished, like an Ultramarine stealth section. It lasts maybe 30 seconds.
What was that noise? No activity.
I did it.
Surveillance camera?
Nowhere is this clearer and more frustrating than the final levels of the game. Honestly, up to this point, there are very few story beats to speak of. You fight the Imperium and you save a hostage. Like a different
Yeah,
FPS game, they start teasing another threat. Remember how I mentioned that Space Marines
does
and Human
get
Faction are very popular in
repetitive and
40K?
boring
Well, the
towards the
story
end.
gets going, but it's
It's like
centered
they
all
ran
around
out
them.
of stuff to say or do, and
A cancer,
they got lazy with the work.
a tumor to be removed.
What's up, buddy? Come say hi to everybody on YouTube. Come here.
Representative.
You've come onto their ship, and you've killed a Mormon Tabernacle choir's worth of guardsmen and
little guy right
Ultramarines. They capture you in the middle of your slaughter.
Being a good boy?
And then
Watch
they
out.
let you go.
Head that way, Tau. The captain is waiting.
The evil forces of Chaos show up
Be a
and do
good
their
boy.
thing. The Ultramarines then
Don't
arm
step
you,
on
and
that
the rest of the
keyboard.
game is spent helping them to defeat Chaos. Talk about a 180 in motivation. Chaos have the beefiest enemies in the game. They also carry the most deadly weapons. Alright, that's reasonable. They're the endgame enemies. So what could they do to make this unbearable? Well, they can spawn right next to you with rocket launchers. These guys can pop up at any time. Chaos Sorcerers can show up without warning, and they can teleport more. Chaos is here, and their favorite activity is teleporting behind you. Once you know where they spawn
Man,
from, it gets
honestly don't
manageable,
remember
but
that.
I'm not sure this is even trial and error. The checkpoints also become further apart, so you might have to go through long stretches of button pressing and ladder
Yeah.
climbing all over again because you got dropped
I
by a
remember
rocket
that.
launcher.
Like the checkpoints got
I
further
always
and
thought
further
Chaos
apart
Raptors were
towards the
called
end.
Raptors because they could fly and had kind of
That's why it got
predatory
harder.
bird-shaped armor. Well, the sound guys had a different interpretation. By that I mean they run at you making bird noises. I'll be honest, I'm at such a breaking point right now.
Yeah, you can't knock it, man. I mean, you got to look at it from the
please,
perspective
God, no,
of
not
the
again.
time. And forget everything that you know now. You can't compare it
What?
to stuff that's
Okay,
out
I'm
now.
just gonna say that this goes
Obviously,
on
it's
for
gonna
a
suck.
while, and longer than it needs to because of, well, you know. So after walking through Tim Burton's Candyland, we get a boss.
The seed of chaos in me. Severus is trying to transfigure himself by binding with a demon. He's trying to become immortal.
It's kind of familiar.
Okay, this goes on for a while, but it dies. Finally, you get to face the real final boss. What he's saying isn't important because I can't hear it because it sounds like he's on a speaking spell. This also goes on for a while. Sometimes my missiles go through him. Oh, it's over. The Tau and the Space Marines are all friends and the game is over. It's actually a fairly short game, but that final stretch really pads itself out. It's not the worst game I've ever played, but very subpar. If it got a digital re-release with a sound overhaul, some bug fixes, and a 4-weapon limit, I'd probably say it's worth checking out if you like the setting. As it is, you're having to jump through a lot of hoops for a very mediocre experience. I'm not good at formatting wikis, or else I would put this there, so I'll link my config file in the pinned comment until someone puts it up on there. Ultimately, Fire Warrior is a curiosity. It's an interesting example of two completely different design philosophies clashing together. At the same time, it's an excellent example of an outlet hyping up an exclusive purely because it's exclusive. That's it for me. Tune in for the racing game video. Kind of racing.
Yeah, it's completely subjective, man. You know, you had to have you had to have lived during this period, you know, to really enjoy it. You know, I'm guessing Mandalore Gaming. Yeah, I'm guessing you're a lot younger than I am. 'Cause I'm 51. I remember this. You know, I remember Pong. I remember fucking the Atari and fucking the first Nintendo. You know, the Commodore. I remember that shit. So yeah, it's subjective. I mean, for you to go and review it with the mentality of trying to, well, I guess it's not the mentality, but rather you're already accustomed to what's out now. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that you go back and play an old ass game and, you know, it's like, it sucks. But we'll see. I mean, I may end up going down that route, you know, mentally as well, because I'm 51 now and I've played thousands upon thousands of different games. I'm sure there's going to be like nostalgic feelings when I play. Whether or not my current experiences cast shadow on my re-experience of Fire Warrior, we shall see. But I don't think so. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Every now and again, I do enjoy playing retro games and for the nostalgia. And I do notice, you know, bugs. But, you know, you got to look at it from that time perspective. You know, that's what was available at the time. You know, plus the whole Warhammer thing was, you know, they were trying to become mainstream. So, you know, obviously they're gonna make some mistakes in the beginning. Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, I'm shopping around for other ones. I may actually get what's the one I was looking at? Space Marines 40K for the PS3. Yeah, I think it was a PS3. Or was it the PS4? All right, I'll double check. But yeah, I'll probably buy that because I'm kind of interested in the video game, at least the video game aspect of Warhammer. I don't know where my tastes are going to lead me during this journey of learning, you know, Warhammer. I may go tabletop. I may go, you know, video games. I may go movies. You know, but we shall see. We shall see. Very interesting video, though. Like I said, you know, it's a matter of opinion. It's perspective. You know, I get it that he's knocking it a little bit, you know, but come on, man. It's an old ass game. Again, Alpha Shocker 7458. Thank you for the suggestion. I really appreciate it. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. Comment below. Give me more suggestions. Subscribe. The notification bell, that's entirely up to you. I don't like the notification bell too much. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and peace.